We finally have Delta. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the next video of the Eminence of Shadow. I apologize in advance for the weird mic quality, but I am at my dad's house right now recording on my phone, and I didn't want you guys to have to wait post video another time, so I'm doing the best I can. I hope you guys still do enjoy the video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and sub, or watch the other Eminence of Shadow reviews that I made. They'll pop up right here. Without further ado, let's get right into the episode. So this episode is basically starting up the next arc, which is the Jhon Smith arc. Basically what's happening right now is the Shadow Guard members, as we know, have differently made up different businesses. Gamma has her company, Alpha has her clothing line. All of them have their own different businesses that they've basically had influence from Cid when he was telling them about his past life and the things that he used to enjoy and had in his lifetime. The problem with this is these designs and new things are so futuristic that they're basically blowing up instantly, causing all the old businesses to go out of sale, to go out of stock, to go out of business. And it's not too well for the Shadow Garden members because of the fact that, well, if you know anything about retail, if you do any business on Wall Street, they start to play hardball once their pockets get low. And that's exactly what the Shadow Garden is starting to face. Cid actually is starting to notice this as he's hanging out with his friends and he's looking at his clothes and looking at other companies who are trying to copy these clothes, making off knockoff brands and making their own purchases and products at a lower discount so that anybody can buy them. They're basically making any desperate attempt so that they can make a sale. With that being said, Cid is seeing the train all the way ahead and see that the tracks are coming to a close, and that if this keeps up, everybody will come after Shadow Garden and their finances might be in trouble, and that it could cause a lot of back and forth that he does not want to deal with. So what does he do? He comes up with the grand idea. While he's hanging out with his friends and he's looking at the dollar bill, he's like, this money looks a little bit weird. And then he has a flashback, which is probably one of the best parts of the Eminence of Shadow. This flashback he has is of a simple one. When he was a child and he remembered that he wanted to make copies of money that he had himself. Because, you know, as children, that's something we've all done. You know, your parents send you to the store to go buy snacks and you have $1 and you think to yourself, well, why don't you just go to the copy machine and print out 10, right? We've all thought about it. But it doesn't work like that, and though Cid doesn't seem to know this, it's still a concept that he's had. So with this new idea, he comes up with a new entity because it would be too simple, too boring, too easy for him to simply say, hey girls, this is getting a bit crazy, you know, we're kind of putting everybody out of business, it's causing a lot of ruckus for the Shadow Garden that we don't need, we're supposed to be undercover, we yada yada yada, let's just not do this. No, that's too easy. So what does he do? He creates an entire new entity, a new version of himself to stop this. In the shadows, Jhon Smith, the new character that we have that he's created for himself, dripped out, absolutely awesome. And I think it's absolutely amazing that we finally get to see him on screen. Now, I know a lot of you guys were commenting in the sections and on Facebook and Twitter. I've seen it all over the place. I have not read the manga, but I was pretty excited based on what I was hearing on what this character can do, his difference between when Shadow uses his shadow persona and Mundane Man, and now we finally have Jhon Smith. So it's going to be super exciting to see how he fights, what he does, you know, how comedic it is. We've already have a bunch of funny stuff that I'm going to go over in a little bit, but man, I'm just excited to see a new persona and see where the show is going. So moving on, Shadow decides to take this plan further by partnering up with the hot fox lady. I don't remember her name at the moment, but all I know is she's hot and she's a fox lady. All right, don't at me. But he decides to work with her and try to help her collapse this financial struggle that's going on and make as much profits for his own benefit, something she doesn't know about or isn't aware about, but he's basically using her to mass out his own max profits for the Shadow Garden. With that being said, he comes to her with the plan, this grand idea, and again, this is why Shadow Garden is not only hilarious but why it works. If you guys have watched Overlord, if you've watched shows like That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, all of the lower characters project themselves or what they believe onto the stronger character. So like Ainz, like Slime Sama, and like Cid, these are simple men who have simple ideas and are just going with the flow, doing things they want. And then their proteges, their colleagues, the people under them, think of them as this mass 1000 IQ god with 10 steps ahead of everybody else. And it's funny because not only are the main characters forced to go with it, but it literally gives them hacks to do things that they need to do without having to necessarily come up with the plan, because people who are actually smarter than they think they are come up with the plan based on what they thought the mastermind had. So Cid comes to Fox Lady and he's like, we should print the money. Like, I see what's going on with the bills, but do you understand what this is? He explains to her how oddly enough our banks work, and how basically we're using fiat currency, and the dollar bill basically doesn't have any money value, and the real value is in the coins itself. And that if they were to print out money, nobody would be able to track this or catch this. And this is all in Cid's mind because, again, he's a simple man. He doesn't know any better. He's never tried this. He's just been about training and doing what he has to do. And he's, in his mind, they're in the past, right? We're not in the future with governments and cameras and all this stuff. All he has to do is get one of the Shadow Guard members to create a printer, put the dollar bill on, and that's it. And then the Fox Lady's like, you do know the currency isn't mass wide, right? Like, if we do this, they're gonna find out pretty quickly. And Cid gets up in absolute shock, like, what? Huh? And then the camera angle is shaking, and it just looks so stupid. I absolutely laughed my ass off. It was dumb. I loved it. Gets up out of his seat. He's like interrogating her. He's like, is that what you think? Putting on this voice and everything. We get some ASMR, and then she's like, well, huh? Wait a minute. And then she comes up with this 10-step plan, like, oh, wait a minute, I see what you're doing. So if we create fake currency, then the government will realize that it's fake, and then everybody else won't rely on the fake currency because they'll realize that it doesn't matter because there's too much of it. If we make our own currency, then they'll be forced to join us and we can make huge profits. Genius. He's like, huh? And I just think it's stupid that Cid, it wasn't even a concept to him, and now he has to follow through with the plan. And he's like, yeah, all right, I guess that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah. And that's basically what Cid is doing. So now the current plan is to make fake money, make as much of it as they possibly can, and force people to change their currency to their new currency that Cid is going to make. He's going to use this new currency to get rid of the old systems that Gamma, Alpha, Beta, Delta, and everybody else made because it's falling apart. And then he's going to have them work for him and then, let them handle it from there. He's just going to take his hands off, and then they can start the new currency in which he made so that it works smoothly and nothing's the problem. Whew, a lot. I know. Sorry. But a lot. This episode was very expositional, and I watched it twice. I had to because my first recording, I didn't understand it totally. And then I had to understand exactly what they're doing with the currency, exactly what the plan is for the next episode. So Cid is pretty upset, understandably. But at least now he has a plan. He gets off the train with her, finally gets off, and this woman is absolutely shook. She's like, if I answered wrong, he would have killed me. And then it's hilarious because he just didn't understand. He had no idea that they could get caught if they printed money. He just never knew. When he tried it as a kid, the guy in the deli just yelled at him. He never understood exactly what was wrong, though. He didn't know why you shouldn't or can't do that. So I think that was pretty hilarious. But then we get part 2 of the episode, why it's the best episode so far. We have Delta, the best doggo. So first off, claimer, I can't even show you guys most of the animation of this part of the episode because these animators put so much fan service alone for Delta. I don't know why, but out of all the Shadow Guard members, Delta gets the most fan service. I don't know why, but it is, the plot thickens. All right, we get a lot of plot. So let me explain the plot to you. Okay, so Shadow's over here eating, Cid's eating some noodles, some meat, and then he goes and he hears a dog barking. He's not paying attention, of course. Hands over some meat, turns his head, and it's Delta wagging, Bossu, more meat. And I'm like, no. This character is way too adorable, way too cute. So Cid finally stops eating, they get up, they go, and she's just climbing all over this man like a damn spider, sniffing him all. You've been around someone else, like a total dog, like totally adorable. And it's just funny as hell that Cid doesn't mind. You would expect most characters to be like, get the hell off me, annoyed. He's like, get off me. She's like, no. And then he's like, all right, bro, whatever. So he asks her, what she's doing here. She's hunting bandits because obviously the Shadow Guard members are retaliating for all the companies who are coming after them. They're hiring bandits, undercover mercenaries. They're coming after these companies because they're stealing their profits. And obviously, Delta was sent on a mission to get rid of these bandits who are coming after the undercover association of Shadow Garden, with a long name I can't dare to pronounce. But this scene was absolutely adorable. Delta's like climbing all over him. She's like, "You want to hunt?" And he's like asking her questions. She's like, "But do you want to hunt?" He's like, "Okay, so but what are you doing here? Answer my question." He's like, "But do you want to hunt?" It's so cute. You know, as much fan service as they give Delta, she's just way too adorable, I gotta say. But moving on, Cid is about to basically carry on with his business, and she finally is like, "I gotta get back to Alpha, but our hunting." And then the only reason he goes with her is for two reasons. I can't say he necessarily feels bad because Cid doesn't really care too much, but she reminds him of his old dog Jhon, which cracked me up because the only reason why Cid went with her to hunt is because he reminded her she reminds him of his old dog Jhon. Absolutely took me out. But that's basically the gist of this episode. I can't wait to see what else they do with Delta and Shadow. That's pretty much the summary of it. Like, these characters are idolizing Cid and they're projecting onto him, and that's how the plot continues. Cid comes up with something simple, someone else makes up a plan that's better than his, and he just goes along with it. And that's the Eminence of Shadow, right? Everything works out because he's the main character. So I'm just super excited to see Delta. The plot is indeed thick, and I can't wait to see what they do with the next episode. But let me know what you guys think. Sorry if I ran through this a little bit quick, but I'm like super excited about the episode. Also, I'm using an app with a timer, so I'm trying to get this done as quick as possible. So if you guys want to see more of this, definitely like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Eminence of Shadow playlist with all my reviews and videos. And what did you think of Best Doggo? Were you excited to see her? What did you think of the dripped out John Wick outfit and how he changes his voice and his attitude? What did you think about this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. Later.
Atomic.